You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
This is a big deal. Being in a community, staying accountable, growing intentionally, doing new things, but being able to bounce it off of other people. I think that's totally critical.
Agreed completely. It makes a lot of sense. If we don't have feedback, we usually just use our own perception, whatever we've come up with as a conclusion. We all have blind spots. I don't care how aware you are or we are, how knowledgeable we are. At some point, we're going to get stuck in our head, and we need other people to give us feedback. And that's how human beings operate. That human beings, by nature, we're a social species. Our mind doesn't work individually. So this is just one branch of that growth.
If you're willing to say, you know what, as a coach, I don't need to have accountability. I don't need to bounce these things off to other people. I don't need anybody to help me with my blind spots. Who are you to coach people and tell them that they need a coach for their blind spots? Like, let's not be hypocritical. But here's the cool thing. The Coaching Mastery community, we have a Facebook group. We have this whole mastermind membership that provides credible support. We are in the middle right now of shifting part of our Facebook group to being free. And so you have an opportunity, a unique opportunity that we are just in the middle of launching to be able to participate in seeing some of the conversations we have with other members that go even deeper than we go on our podcast. You have an opportunity to put some comments in, like ask questions like, hey, what do you guys think about this? You get to do all of that stuff for free. So I'm so excited as we shift to being able to grow the Facebook group, because it's like level one opportunity for you to really dig in and find a community and support with other coaches that you can grow with. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, and you can just find us on Facebook at the Coaching Mastery Community. Just search that name and you'll be able to see it. You might see a couple of groups, but one will be private where we will have to give you permission to enter. You'll have to answer, I think, 3 questions there.
Yeah. And we do check you out, so, which is a good thing. So we're not letting any, Tom, Dick, or Harry come in. And where did that Tom, Dick, and Harry come from? Have you ever heard that, Faisal? Like those 3 names?
I have, but together? I have no idea where that comes from. I came into this side of the world a little bit late, so I usually ignore some of the references. If I'm really curious, I'll look it up.
Well, see, I would think that being new to it would be like, I want to know where that comes from. Whereas, like when you grow up, in a culture and you hear this stuff all the time, you don't necessarily question it. And I know that you're one that questions everything. Yeah. So you've never questioned Tom, Dick, and Harry?
I have. It's just, it hasn't come to be a necessity. I've learned to adapt on time learning. When I need it, I'll go learn about it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right. So Faisal, unpack for us kind of the thought process behind today's topic.
So we are talking about confidence, essentially, and it doesn't matter what field you're in. Confidence is the thing that you need to help you move forward. Now, when I talk about confidence, I don't mean having an appearance of confidence, because you can pretend to be confident and you might even be successful to fool some people temporarily. And usually that just only stays on the surface, and people pick up on that very fast. And we've all run into people who appear to be confident, and all of a sudden you see that there was no substance there. And so when we talk about confidence in coaching, what we're actually talking about is, how can you have the confidence to be able to coach people who on the external world, they seemingly are more successful than you in business and so many aspects of life, or at least the measure of success on the professional world? That's how people look at it. So CEOs, athletes, movie stars, whoever. How can we go about approaching that? Because it can be intimidating. And I've been intimidated a lot of times to coach somebody at that level. But also, it's not just the title. There are people who've done quite a bit of work. And I can start with this story. So this was the first time I really felt intimidated by a client, or at least I felt it more. So this was one of the contract coaching that I did. So I got exposed to these amazing individuals who had background in all sorts of places. And there was this one individual who was a CEO, and he had multiple businesses. And part of that program was that he would go through a high performance coaching process. And he got the link to fill out the questionnaire for me to look at before our session. So he fills out the questionnaire. He fills it out in a very different way than the most. It's a pretty long questionnaire. It's 30 minutes, but I think he spent much more time on it. So I open the questionnaire and I look at it. There are charts in there. I'm like, what the hell? There are charts of performance tracking, all sorts of stuff in there. And I read through the whole thing. It took me about, I think, 30 minutes to go through the whole thing. And at the end, there was something he said that was very interesting. And it was very scary for me too in the meantime, but also very interesting. So what he said was that, I've shared all this not to brag or say that I've done all this work and all this. I really have done a lot of work on myself, and I've progressed in terms of my mindset, in terms of my success, he was a true high performer in all areas of his life. And he even challenged me. He's like, if you really think that you can help me, then I'm happy to jump on the call. But if you don't feel like you'll be able to help me, then let's cancel that call. So I'm thinking like, oh shit. How do I respond to this?
He's calling you out in your confidence.
He was literally calling me out, and I was scared. I was like, I don't know if I can help him out, to be honest. And I sat there and dealt with those emotions because my heart rate is racing. And I'm like, I need to do that anyway. I'm like, would I be able to help him? And I thought about it for a bit, and I realized, well, the only way to know is if we just do the call. It's the first call. It's a discovery call. And I'll show up with the best that I can do. And if I can't help him, then I can't. I will still do my best. And I sent him an email. I said that I got your questionnaire. Thank you for filling it out in so much detail. And I'm pretty sure I said that, and this was like 4 years ago, I think, at this point. I'm trying to remember the words. But I think I said something to the effect of, I would love to do this session, and I really want to honor you for doing all that work. And before I'm doing that session, I don't know if I can support you. And the whole point of that session is for me to see if I can support you and how I can support you. If you're open to it, I'd love to do that session with you. And I think it'll be interesting for you too. And he's like, then I sent me a quick email back and like, let's do it. I'm like, okay. So we did the session, we go through it, and this is what I found out. People who are really high performers, you have to do a lot of discovery to figure out, because they really have, like, if they say that they've done a lot of work, you literally have to go through every part of their life to even find an area where they're struggling in. And this is a 60-minute session at a probably, I think, 40-minute mark. Up until that, it was like he's doing amazing in every. At 40-minute mark, there was a point that came in around his relationship with his wife. And I saw a shift in his tonality. I saw a shift in his face, and I knew that I needed to go deeper in that area. I go in that area.
Here's my
Got you. And then he had, and it's not that he was hiding anything, it was just that he might have not noticed it. And we go into that area, and there was a slight difference in the way that they were looking at their vision, and he didn't think much of it. But what ended up happening was that it was creating a lot of frustration for him. He was just putting it aside, and it was an alignment issue with them, and also was a support issue, whether or not he could support her. And I can't talk about the details, but as we went in there, he had a huge realization around that. And his next action step was to actually go have a conversation with her about it. Now, here's a cool thing that happened. He was very happy, and he's like, yeah, this was very valuable for me. Thank you. I met him at an event a few months later. I was just standing there at the front of an event. That was part of the coaching team there. And I had seen him on video, but I hadn't met him in person. And it's like, this guy just comes and he gives me a hug. I didn't even recognize him. He's like, hey, remember we did that session and I challenged you and all that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's you. He's like, and the whole team was there too. He's like, he was just the whole event. He was talking about me and how I was able to move him forward. He talked to every team member there. We had an incredible conversation at the event, and we actually became good friends in a lot of ways. So the reason why I'm sharing that story was that it was very easy for me to back out or say that maybe I can't help you. But I think the thing that was important there is that the fear was there. I didn't know if I was going to be able to help him, but it was the curiosity and openness. And I've actually used that a lot whenever I see something odd or different or some somebody, I'm like, I'm actually really curious to see how I would perform and how I would be able to support that person in that area. And in that curiosity piece is much more important than the kind of show of confidence that, oh, well, yeah, I can help you. I didn't know.
Right. So what I love about this story, and there are two words in particular that came to mind as I was listening to you talk, and we started this conversation off about confidence. And when I think about confidence as a coach, I envision me saying, absolutely, Faisal, I can help you. Let's have a conversation and figure out how I can help you. But I'm confident I can help you. But what I heard you do in that story wasn't that approach. It was humility. And so your approach wasn't one of like, of course I can help you, but it was one of like, I wonder if I can help. Let me see. And you were being humble because you were being open to the possibility that you could help, but you legit were open to the possibility that maybe I'm not going to be able to help. Maybe I'm not the right person. And so I love the undertone of humility, which I think goes into that curiosity, because you're not coming in with an assumption, and yet there still can be this confidence. So as you've grown over the last 4 years, how are you balancing humility with confidence?
I think they work with each other as long as it's true confidence. That's why I'm stressing on the fake confidence part, because that's a front. I've done that a lot of my life, and I know very well how to do that. I just have chosen not to go towards that because it helped me keep this kind of persona that would protect me from others, but it didn't help me actually progress. Two different things, because I know that people catch on at some point. And I can spot that from very far a lot of times. But here's the thing, I don't look at these things as like values per se. I look at them as what actually works practically. What works long term is being human, understanding that we all have shortcomings, we all have areas of strength, we all know things that we can help a lot of people with, we all know that other people know a lot of things too, we all know that there are areas that we won't be really good at, but there are areas that we'll be really good at. These are like common sense things that we know about, but we ignore them just to protect ourselves in a lot of ways. So here's what I've done. So even now, like if somebody, and I get a lot of referrals. So a couple of weeks back, it was one of my old clients. She sent one referral to me a month ago. And there's this client I did a strategy session with. And I was surprised to get that email because she sent an email. She's like, I referred this person to you. He did that session. He didn't even sign up for my coaching. I had sent him another email afterwards, but I thought, I guess like the session didn't go very well because I didn't get any feedback from him. But she's like, he was in her mastermind, and she said, the person that I sent to you, he actually made a major life decision. He completely changed his career. He's quitting his job, and he credited a lot of it to you. I was like, really? Because he didn't even respond to me, which I find really funny a lot of times, which is okay. I was very happy that I was able to support him, and maybe you didn't need coaching beyond that at that point. And she's like, I have another person who has done this, that, and the other, and very accomplished human being. And then my response is like, that's awesome. I'd love to support her. I don't know fully if I will be. That's why I do a full strategy session. Now my strategy sessions are 2 hours. They're not even 90 minutes anymore because there's a lot in there. And I do get them to fill.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's part of it too. That might be a big part. Maybe. I'll say maybe. So basically my response is usually along the lines of, to be honest, I don't know if I can support this person, but I'm curious to try to see if I can support them. They do have to fill out a questionnaire, and they do need to be open. They don't need to commit to anything. They just need to show up. And she actually wanted to gift it to her. So she's like, can I please pay for this session? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. You can give it as. And the reason why I frame it like that, not because, oh, I have some high value around humility, but it's because I really, in fact, I don't know. Because I might not feel aligned with this person, or they might not feel aligned with me. And I had another client I talked to whose husband needed some coaching. And so he was looking more for a conservative Christian coach. And I'm not that. I might have some conservative values, but I'm not the Christian or conservative per se. So I told him, like, I actually have some coaches who might be more aligned. I can get him connected to it now, or I'm open to doing the session. Maybe he'll feel aligned with that. She's like, I'd love for you to to try a session with him first. And then if he doesn't feel aligned, then we can think about it there too. And like there's so many factors where you might not be aligned with a person, and the title and accomplishment will be the last thing to even think about.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.